Peace. We're just here just to put a little bit on the record for the likes of Dane Calloway and Riza Islam, all the so-called scholars out here, all of them. We told you that they brought it up at the summit, their little revolt summit. They brought it up, the question of nationality. They brought up the question of nationality for a reason. But the black leaders, they're not going to let you know. Nobody let you know to the point where the international community had to put it on the record for you, because your own wouldn't even rep for you. Even your own that claim to be indigenous and black Indians and whatever else they claim. So this is the Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15. Everyone has the right to a nationality. No one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his nationality, nor denied the right to change his nationality. So nationality is a right. Nationality is not some package somebody could sell you. Nationality is not you have some card, so that means you have a nationality. Nationality implies natal. Nationality implies you're born with this. You're born with it. And everybody has the right to a nationality. Now, what do all these leaders do? All these leaders say what? You're black, we're African, we came here on a slave ship. They keep talking about things that aren't a nationality as our identity. They keep talking about things that aren't a nationality when it comes to our identity. Well, because they haven't taught you, you might not know that there's a document. It's Executive Order 11490, October 19th, 1969. This is why we say, as Moors, we're not Negro, black, colored, African, Indian, none of that BS. We have a nationality. But if you see right here, this executive order was authorized October 19th, 69, to counteract the minority, brackets, blacks, Indians, Latinos, Puerto Ricans, and poor whites, in their rise from up under the depression and the powers that be, the government. Now, isn't it interesting that the same people who the electoral colleges and the Queen and the Pope and the people who are really pulling strings, these people set up this thing called government and have people thinking that government has to do with what they think it has to do with. But what it really has to do with is governing the mental. That's what government is. Government's not somebody who gives you a license. Government's not somebody who tells you every year you got to pay your taxes and Martin Luther King Day. That's not government. Government is governing your mental. So there's no rise up from under the depression and powers that be, the government, without you first knowing yourself. If you don't know yourself, then forget about any rights applying to you. Because rights don't apply to people who are considering themselves minority. When in reality, if we say Illuminati, and then they say, oh yeah, Illuminati rules the world, and that's, whatever percent. Well, that percent is smaller than the population. So how the hell is the population the minority? How come the people who are in smaller numbers aren't the minority and the people be the majority? Oh, because you fell for a game from your black leaders, your Indian leaders, your Latino leaders, your Puerto Rican leaders, and your poor white leaders who lied to you and didn't tell you about nationality. And then now, because you're running around like a chicken with his head cut off, now these people could say, we're going to shut down China because there's a virus and all that stuff, and you're going with that as if everything is in crisis acting right now. You don't know you weren't there. You don't know what the hell's going on. And if you call somebody who's there, they don't even know what's going on. Because why? Their quote unquote government does stuff differently than over here. And keep in mind that what you're thinking is some virus of the whatever, that's really and truly population control, if they're killing people like that. Just like 9/11 was a robbery, and tsunami on Boxing Day or whatever like that, at certain astrological time, they let off some bomb under the ocean and do whatever. Everything is orchestrated. You don't know what is going on. You don't know what's going on. They could have, the footage that they're showing you about stuff in China, they could have filmed that in Texas or something. And you're looking over there like there's something here while these people are robbing you of your conscience. Every day you lose more. Every day you lose more of being connected to divine. Why? Because you want to be minority, and you're going to follow all your nigger leaders to be minorities. Just like we talked about Nick Cannon right now. Now he's coming out saying he's Negro now. He's a Negro of something. You tell me these people aren't on the other side? I mean, come on. He has wilding out. Like, that's not his stuff. That's putting out the same BS that they try to put you brainwash with the music, and brainwash you with the movies, and brainwash you with every type of medium. But you only get brainwashed if you don't know yourself. And in order for the people to not know themselves, the government wants to keep them minority. And they're going to use all your black leaders, all your Negro leaders, that today you might call them entertainment guy or whatever, but he's your leader. You're not my leader, because we only follow the prophet, because he knew where he was sending us. He knew where he was sending us. When he said, you're not Negro, black, colored, or Ethiopian. You're Moors. He knew what he was doing. So Executive Order 11490. So you don't rise up from the depression and the powers that be. Right? The stuff that there's Moors talking about, yeah, I had to go out and buy a greenhouse. I had to go out and buy a greenhouse for the garden outside. Because when I go outside to the garden, there's this white filmy stuff looking like spider webs on the plants. And there's no spiders around here. Now, either somebody is coming there at night and spraying his stuff, or they're spraying that from above. Or that's how those stuff come, because the seeds were tainted, which brings in a whole nother level of what the hell is going on. You worried about some stuff going on in China? And you're not worried about what you just went to pick up at the grocery store right over there? That they just have the stuff spraying on the lettuce and spraying on stuff, and then you just go in and picking up stuff. That's water in there? You know what they're spraying on your stuff? But that's here nor there. Because we're here to talk about the Executive Order 11490. October 19th, 1969. Keep in mind, 1969 is 666 or 999, which either way you go, you're in trouble. Either way you go, you're in trouble. This booklet contains vital excerpts from Executive Order 11490, October 1969. The King Alfred Plan, the Rex 84 Plan, concentration camps, top secret silent weapons for quiet wars, introductory programming manual. Introductory. This is not even the fullness. This is just the intro. United States of America Incorporated. What's that mean? That means that it's not a government. What's that mean? That means that all these people who are minority are actually not citizens. They're actually property of that incorporated government that people think is a landmass. It's not a landmass, only on paper are they a country. They're not a country if they're not on paper. Now, this is where it gets interesting. This is where it gets interesting. The Executive Order number 11490 and Rex 84 Plan and Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars has been in the hands of the popularly accepted individuals calling themselves the Black Leaders since the early 70s. Many have spoken of them, but few have logistically broken them down and disseminated the information to their alluring public. The King Alfred Plan implicates the true motives and reason why they do not. Now, we just want to add that of all the black leaders who knew about this stuff, since the 1970s, we only heard of the elder Ray Hagins has a lecture on King Alfred Plan. And they even called it King Alfred Plan. They call it the extermination to kill blacks by the U.S. government or whatever. And people played like they didn't hear what he was saying. But he did put it out there. You can't say that you weren't told, because that's your black guy. Ray Higgins, that's your black preacher guy who said, forget being a preacher because I learned about myself now. So I'm going to start talking some other stuff. And when he got into King Alfred plan, he had to take that to the pulpit to let these people know. He had to take that to the podium to let them know about King Alfred plan. Because it directly affects the so-called people that want to be anything that we call ourselves. And it doesn't matter what we call ourselves. We can call ourselves anything because we're the gods of the earth and all this BS. We're not gods of anything without a nationality. One will take note that all people mentioned in these government plans, blacks, Indians, Latinos, Puerto Ricans, and poor whites, do not include a de jure national name or title. Right? So they don't have a national name, right? So the people who have nationalities, they don't just have a name, they have a national name. So for example, in the jurisdiction of Canaanland, they call it a multicultural society because there's so many different type of cultures that live here. Right? When we were in high school in the 90s and the 80s, when we were in junior high school, that was a time in this jurisdiction where there was a lot of other kinds of immigrants coming here, not just the black people who think they're getting out of something, so they came here from the islands, or they get out of slavery going north and they came north. We're talking about people from other parts of the world coming here. One of the interesting things that only made sense after I started studying nationality and all that stuff is how come somebody from Sri Lanka, let's say, would come here and we're in class or whatever. You know, where are you from? Oh yeah, from Sri Lanka. Oh, what's your name? Well, on the paper it says Pranjit whatever, but my actual name is whatever 1900 letter name. Like, so hold on a second. So if your paper that you got into the school with doesn't say the full name, but then everybody who I look like, their name doesn't reflect a nation. It reflects some foreign jurisdiction. That how did I even get this name? Then Chinese, same thing. Oh yeah, what's your name? Well, on paper, my name's Ben Chin, but my real name is Holao Ping Kawao. And then they go through their whole high school or whatever as Ben Chin. But in the background, they have a free national name that at home, they get called that name. And then that's the name that they are when they deal with other people in their nation. But what is it when you look at our people? We are black, Negro, colored, Latino, Puerto Rican, Dominican, West Indian. We want to be all these different names that aren't a national name. So they're letting you know that if you don't have a national name or title, there's something off with you. There's something off with you. Because everybody in the world has a nationality. Like what's the problem? Why is Dane Calloway going to tell people you don't need a nationality? Just go do your genealogy, and then when all that stuff came from Europeans. All that stuff came from the white man who's the devil and all that stuff, but then you're going to follow his stuff or whatever, but you're not going to follow nationality, which is ancient. They got nations in the Bible. Oh, you got nations in the Bible, and all these people are part of a nation, but you're a Negro, you're black, you're African, you're a slave that came over here against your will, and they killed your ancestors or whatever. They have a plan for you people who classify. Don't worry about what's going on in China. They've been had a plan for you. And their plan is being implemented and has been being implemented, and all your leaders knew about it. And they played you. Oh yeah, the most important part of this. European as substitute pedigree parentage names and were forced as appellations on the indigenous people of the Americas and their own discards. All people bearing these labels are referred to as it. One common thread is evident. No nationality equals no rights and no human value. Period. This is how they feel about you. And then your black leaders are keeping you up with this BS. And there's all the organizations that sold you out. All the infiltrated organizations that's been under surveillance since the 60s that sold you out. Killed all the leaders of it. And then have you here now chasing after Drake or whoever as your superhero guy. And all these people work for the other side. These are your leaders. And again, this is what they know. And then, just for Dane Calloway and all the other people who want to claim that they're indigenous or whatever. This memo is being submitted in lieu of a full report from the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The report is now in preparation. There will be many cities where the minority will be able to put into the street a superior number of people with a desperate and dangerous will. He will be a formidable enemy, for he is bound to the continent by heritage and knows that political asylum will not be available to him in other countries. You're bound to this by heritage. And that's what Noble Drew Ali was bringing back to you. Tying you back to your lost heritage of this side of the planet that you thought had nothing to do with you, has everything to do with you. And the only way that we're going to make it through is with having a nationality. No nationality, again, just so you're not confused. All people bearing these labels, blacks, Indians, Latinos, Puerto Ricans, poor whites, Negroes, whatever you want to call yourself, it doesn't matter what we call ourselves, but we're not Moors. All those names are really referred to as it when you deal with these people called government. And if you're a it, that means you have no human value, you have no rights, and you have no nationality. And if you have no nationality, then people could take advantage of you because you're not protected as a human. You're a property. You're a can on the shelf. When these people want their can, they open their can, they drink their juice, and they discard the can. The juice or whatever is the soul, is the life force of the can. After they're done with that juice, can's discarded. Organ harvesting and whatever, that's them getting the juice. And don't forget, it's only black girls going missing. It's only Indian women, native Indian women, remember the it's black girls and native Indian women going missing. And you don't know why yet. They're telling you why. Because they're black. Real simple. Real easy to digest. But we just wanted to give you something to think about. Since we have this button called live or whatever, we might be here sometime just to put some things out there and call some people's names, since IG seems to be a place where people go for info too. So take this one, share this one, let them know that there's been a plan in place since the 60s to get rid of the minority, and that all their so-called black leaders know about it. And don't think about black leaders as some beret wearing, leather jacket, have a gun, and no. Those guys now are online. They got shades on, they got fronts, you know what I mean? They might have a bottle of liquor up there, but they're conscious and they're telling you about where you're supposed to be going. They already made it because they took a check. So they're straight. They're not even concerned about waking up the people. They all have an agenda. And this is the plan that they're working towards. Keep you minority. Happy holy day to all the Moors. Don't forget, Moor Science Temple of America, Canaanland, 647-748-6664. 647-748-6664. Call, leave a message, whatever. You got questions, you could email Canaanland Guide, CANAANLAND GUIDE @gmail.com. Email your questions, call. If you want to know more, if you want to know the truth about your nationality and birthrights. And as well, can't forget to tell you, make sure you go to rvbaypublications.com if you haven't, and start getting this information in you, because everybody's been playing nationality and you've been playing color game for the past 400 years. And certain people who I know you love and stuff like that are perpetuating the BS that you're going through. While they're good, you know what I mean? They're already sitting on their roles that they got from the sellout. They already got paid off. Islam Moors.